Gotcha. Okay. So we have Kari Davis. And Kari, tell us a little bit about you real quick, about like the business that you run, what you do, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm really excited to be on. Thank you so much for having me. And I do not have an organization business, but I love to organize, always have my whole entire life. So it's really fun to be on today. I live in Naples, Florida, with my blended family of 5 kids and my husband. But I started an essential oil business actually in 2013, completely on accident. Fell in love with essential oils and the research behind them, was a teacher before that, and just started naturally teaching about plant medicine and replacing your medicine cabinet with essential oils, cleaning with essential oils, non-toxic cleaning, and all the things. Then was suddenly widowed in 2015, was not expecting it. That's why my name is a little confusing because, when you still want to have the same name as your children, it
Mm-hmm.
gets a little tricky when I've now changed my name. But um, TJ died suddenly of a massive brain hemorrhage, was not expecting it. And here I had just started this little essential oil business that was quickly turning into a big essential oil business. It kind of took over. And I know what happens when you are running your business and you also were trying to maintain your home, take care of your children. And I really knew in that moment that if I did not start taking better care of myself, I was in for it. And so I am very, very passionate about helping women. I actually have a coaching program that you don't know if you listen to my podcast. My podcast is the Well, Health, and Wholeness. I actually have a coaching program that I do with my leaders in my essential oil business about really finding their passion. But my business is helping women redefine self care and take better care of themselves, especially with non toxic plant based living. Um, and so I'm really happy to be on today to talk to your women that are starting a business to not lose themselves in the chaos. Don't organize the home and then let your mind and your health go down the what, down the
Yeah,
drain.
absolutely. Well, we appreciate you so much for being on here. And I'm sorry for your loss, but I know that your life has looks like, I've seen some of your photos, and your new family looks so beautiful and like happy
Oh.
and whole. And so obviously something you are doing is working good. So you definitely have got your stuff together, and you are kind of very similar to me, where we are running multiple businesses and all of the things. And so
hmm
when you get to that point, and a lot of my listeners, they are also still working like full-time jobs on top of
mm,
being moms and wives while trying to start the organizing business as a side hustle. And so they are also doing multiple things. And so it's very important that we worry about taking care of ourselves and the things
hmm
that can do this. And so since your business is guided towards, women in health and wholeness and taking better care of themselves, you have said that you want to redefine self-care. And how does this apply to women starting their own businesses? So can you give us a little bit of background on that?
Okay, well, I kept finding myself saying self care, and I didn't realize until I started my business and until I took more of a coaching approach that self care is just, it's almost a dirty word, right?
Mhm.
It's, it is so, I think, not defined correctly. When people say hashtag self care, like going to get their nails done. Now, if going to get your nails done is your thing, great. That's not what I'm talking about when I talk about self care, though. Truly, if we would define it, yourself is your own body and taking care of it, right? But I find that women don't take care of themselves whatsoever, tell themselves that they are because they get their nails done once a month. But I'm talking about daily self care, looking at yourself as the whole. What are you eating in the morning? Especially the women listening, I guarantee they are grabbing something quick in the morning. They're not eating properly. And I'm not a nutritionist, but I know just the basics of eating well. I've been in health and wholeness for a really long time. Um, they're not spending quiet time. Their cortisol level is through the roof, which whacks out their hormones, which whacks out their weight, which whacks out their relationship with their husbands, which messes up how much they're upset with their kids. It's just this compound effect that to get back to soul care, to spending time centering themselves, time with God, quiet time, getting in exercise. I'm not trying to give more of like a checklist to do everything, but we really need to look one-on-one at where your holes are and just get in those little teeny habits. Otherwise, you're not going to have your business long term. I'm just being honest. You're not going to be able to do it all.
No, because you're gonna get burnt out very quickly. And so how do you kind of coach your women, or like what are some tips you would give of how to find those holes? Like, for instance, for me, what kind of comes up is kind of what you said of, if during my day I find myself like lashing out very quickly at my loved ones, or just maybe the way that I feel overall, like either lethargic, or, like what are some of those things we can be looking for that can be kind of like a trigger to us of, oh, maybe I do need to start worrying more about my soul care.
Right. So the other thing in the industry is that your morning routine is so important. I don't care if it's in the morning, but there has to be a time in your day where you're looking at your holistic plan. Um, what are you eating? Planning your food. I think we think of packing the kids' lunches and then we throw whatever in a lunchbox, or if we work from home, or if you're going to organize a house, really planning your meals is absolutely number one. So it's pretty easy to know. And all I'm doing right now in my head is just going through a wellness pyramid. So do I have time to move my body? So good for getting your cortisol level down, to get those healthy hormones going. So are you going to be organizing a house today? You're probably going to get your steps in. You're probably going to
Hmm.
be, I'm sure it's a lot of physical work, right?
Yes, very much so.
Right. So that might not be a hole there. But are you getting strength training? We all, especially, I'm in my mid 40s. I've been lifting at least a couple times a week for a long time. It's really, really, really important. Even if you don't think of yourself as like, I'm not talking a bodybuilder. I'm just talking about, are you getting those muscles pumping? Okay. So your movement. So we talk about different things in movement. Then we talk about rest and stress. So are you sleeping? Are you getting to bed earlier? It's kind of that idea of like slowing down to speed up. You might feel like, I have so much to do, I cannot sit and get my stress level down. The best thing for your business that you might need to do is tell your whole entire family. I teach on my podcast, teach your family how you expect to be treated. A lot of times as the mom, we run ragged, and if our family knew how depleted we were, they wouldn't want that, but we just don't talk about it. We don't teach self-care to our families, to our children. And so is your mental health and your physical health, your stress reduction, going to be absolutely, like revolutionized by going for a walk? For me, it's listening to worship music, going for a walk, getting out in nature. I think they think it's for my butt, or, I think they think it's for weight loss, but it's truly for my mental health and just getting that time to just decompress. Is it in the evening? Do you need to sit and read a book? You almost need to prescribe your rest and stress management to yourself and teach it to your family. This is really what you need. You need screen-free time. I need screen-free time. I need to be able to decompress. I call it recharging, because when I take some time for myself, sometimes it's a nap, sometimes I'm exhausted and I can power nap. And it's like I've been plugged in like a cell phone. I wake up and I'm like a different person, and it's like a 20-minute power nap. I just lay in my room. I'm an introvert that has forced myself out of my shell, and I have to recharge being alone. So how do you recharge? So rest and stress management. And then the fourth part that we tackle is getting rid of toxicity. Toxicity in your thoughts. What are you saying to yourself? Um, I run my clients through something called the truth table, where you put some of those things that are coming up in your mind on a fake, but a real table, and you really figure out what is true and what is not true. What does God say about you? What are you saying about you? So getting rid of toxic thoughts, but also toxicity in the home. So do you have a lot of candles running? Do you have a lot of beauty care products that are messing up your hormones? We start to detoxify some of those things. Since I have been in essential oils for so long, that one is there's natural health tools that help with all of these things.
That's amazing. And so you literally take it step by step in the pyramid and you help them go through like their whole regimen of just daily living, like you said, compared to just like, oh, once or twice a month, or I get a massage here or there. It's about the daily tasks and how we feel and how we interact. And two things that were coming up for me there. One is I've always heard it said as the women, we're the thermostat of the home. And so
Mm-hmm.
whatever mood we're in, whether we realize it or not, it is definitely rubbing off and putting that energy into our home with our spouses and children. And
Mm-hmm.
then the other one is Lisa Nichols. And when she said this, it like hit me like a ton of bricks. I used to think that living with my cup half full, or people talk about your cup being full. I always pictured it as like, okay, well, I need to have whatever in my cup, whether it's half, three-fourths, whatever. And then I take that and pour it into others. But she describes it in a way of, if you think of a teacup with a saucer, that your cup is so overfilled that you can then pour into others from your saucer. And when I heard
Mm-hmm.
that, that helped me realize, wait, I'm not giving away or putting others first in front of me. I am
Mm-hmm.
so fulfilled that I'm able to help and bless others.
Right. Well, and let's be honest, very few days do I feel that my sauce or my cup is overflowing. I mean, I don't, as moms, I don't know if that is ever possible. Um, we're just in the season of life, especially if you're starting a business or you have multiple businesses. I could stay working every minute of every day. So a lot of it is just really saying no to myself, is just like scheduling out my time, and then you get into organization and all of that stuff. So it's yeah, I agree with her, but at the same time I think we also have to acknowledge when we're in a time of busyness that deciding how much we're going to do, we might not feel overflowed
Yeah. Oh,
overfilled in
yeah. No,
a
I very
while.
rarely feel overflowed, but in my mind, it gave
Yeah,
me like a better representation instead of just like, oh, I constantly need to be filling others' cup at my own detriment. It's more of, the better I am, the better the ones around me are, is kind of what I took from that.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And you're going to be able to find those parts that are chaotic. You're going to be able to think to those parts of your day where your blood sugar has dropped because you haven't eaten anything, and that's been happening a lot. Or you're getting a really tightness in your stomach, or you're just feeling like you're not getting quality time with those you love. It's the chaotic parts, the parts that make us feel really stressed out, are usually kind of easy to find because it's where the shame and the guilt and those toxic thoughts are creeping in.
Yeah. Yeah. The thoughts are so important. Now real quick. So you have multiple streams of income, obviously, and multiple things going on as you just described. And obviously, like I said, so do a lot of my listeners. And so what tips would you have for them, on that topic of just when you are a almost multi-passionate entrepreneur, but it's not even that. It's more of you have a lot of things going on because let's face it, a lot of us are moms, wives. Then on top of that, we have our businesses and our homes. And like, there's just so many things that the modern woman today has to take care of on top of then starting and growing a business. And so what are some tips that you've learned along the way to help them with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I struggle and or work on this every single day. For me, I teach a really easy, it helps me especially to keep anxiety down. It's such a simple system. I hope someday to have like a little self-care workbook where this is like tear out sheets. That would be so fun to have it be pretty, but mine is not pretty. It's a white piece of paper. I divide it into 4 quadrants, and one is myself. So my self-care, the things that are weighing down on my heart and my mind for me, the things for my family, the things for my home, and then the things for my business. Now, I have multiple parts of business, so that quadrant is kind of divided up differently. Some things are for my doTERRA business. What clients have I not reached out to? What class am I going to teach next month? So I have to schedule that out, whatever it is. But I'm just brain dumping, getting it all out. Sounds scary because it sounds like that would be so overwhelming. But then you go through and you're just going to circle the thing that is first. So all that you have to, it looks like a lot is written, but all you're going to do is circle those things first. Now, in your business quadrant, to make sure, now I cannot say this enough as someone who has been in business for a long time, to do those things that are going to be income producing. To not do the things that are, I'm trying to think of in your world, like organizing your organizing bins, or there's certain things that are helpful. They're very important. You need to schedule them in for the week, but circling those things that are income producing so that you're doing that first rather than getting caught up. I've spent so many years like having an essential oil business where I'm organizing my oils. Well, that helps me stay organized. Or maybe if I'm having an event, I need to know what oils I need to order for doing a make and take, but that's not reaching out to clients. That's not doing something. So that's really, really my biggest tip, is to calm that chaos in your mind by getting everything out of your brain so that you don't have to remember. Multitasking is a lie. It does not help. It's not good. It's not good for your central nervous system. It's not good for anything that you're doing to take care of yourself. It will raise your cortisol level and actually make you less intelligent going forward. It's just not nice to your body. And when you are not multitasking, when you just have today's activity for today and you're focused first on doing those things that are going to be income producing, getting out in front of new clients, reaching out, it's going to make all the difference in the world.
Yeah, I love that. I actually, just before we were hopping on here, so one thing I realized I had been doing was I'm a very much a calendar person on my phone, and everything's like color coordinated based on like if it's something to do versus a bill versus whatever. But what I've realized is I've gotten so good at putting those things in there. The list on a daily was like 15 things because it's all of those main topics you were talking about. So I've realized I've started getting very overwhelmed when I look at my day for the next day, because it's not just the home stuff, the kids stuff. It's also the business stuff, the bill stuff, that like, it's just too much to look at once. And so I actually just started like a notes section so I can pull the stuff out of my calendar that's like a, hey, one day, or like an episode topic I'd like to talk about, or like those things that don't have to be on a specific day. So then if I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, I have a little bit of extra time, or I'm ready to start talking about the next episode, let me go to that other list that's not right in front of my face constantly. Because
Exactly.
anything we can do to put the important things first and then allow the other things to be either a list or just somewhere else that we can access, but that aren't constantly right in front of our face, has helped me tremendously to feel like, oh, okay, like all of a sudden a day that looked like it had 15 things in it really only had 4. And the other things were just things I wanted to get done, and that, I will get done, but they don't have to be done today.
Right. Well, and then if you are, especially your listeners that are working a full-time job, then are coming home, then are building their side hustle, and they have to take care of their families. Our families have to eat. We have to do laundry. That stuff is never going to go away. So what gets cut?
The
You.
business. Yeah. Oh,
No,
us. Yeah. Yeah. Technically.
usually,
Yeah.
right. Usually your self-care is going to get cut. And so it's such a mind game with entrepreneurs to be like, you have to take care of yourself in the morning. Take care of yourself first. I mean, and it's not over your family, but you know how it is. Like, you can cook a healthy breakfast for everyone and eat rather than just feeding the kids, running to the next thing, not taking that time to take. So if you've taken care of yourself in the morning, Then you've done your income producing thing, even if it's just, a half hour of whatever's going to be income, or if you have to go to work, that time in the afternoon where you're going to do those income producing event things for your business that you're growing, that's up to you. You're not going to not take care of your children. The thing that's going to get cut is going to be you, and you're not going to be able to sustain this in multiple businesses.
Mm-mm.
It's not going to happen. You're going to get so run down, or you're going to lose your marriage, or you're going to lose your, you're going to
Yeah.
lose stuff if you are not doing those things. It doesn't have to be a lot of time. It just needs to be really intentional.
Yeah. I love that. It doesn't have to be a lot of time, just intentional time. Where like
Mm-hmm.
for me, I'm kind of like you, where I like to be out in nature. And so even if I just go, and as weird as this sounds, even if I just go stand in my yard, because we have like trees around and there's birds chirping and animals and stuff. If I can
Mm-hmm.
just stand there with like my feet on the ground and just like take a minute
Mm-hmm.
to like recenter, talk to God. I mean, sometimes it's literally 10 minutes, but that
Yep.
10 minutes makes all the difference in the world of how I'm showing up in my day and
Mm-hmm.
how like prepared I feel. I always feel so much more prepared when I have taken a few moments for myself first before allowing all of the noise and the chaos and the all of those things in. Because if all the noise and chaos come first, I am a hot mess the rest of the day.
Mm-hmm. Well, and imagine that if you're modeling that for your children and even for your husband. When I met my husband, it was only 5 years ago, and I had done a lot of work on myself and really came up with my self-care. I mean, obviously getting out of a time of grief was very challenging, just in and of itself, but also just really wanted to not lose myself again, as far as the chaos of the perfectionism and the anxiety that I had been experiencing without knowing it. So I asked him, like, how do you recharge? What do you need in your day, in your week, in your month that are absolutely your non-negotiables? And if you ask that to your husband, if you have a home where recharging, where having quiet time, maybe you have one child that really needs quiet and you have a loud home, or maybe, one of your kids loves to play games and that is just like what feeds them. We kind of get into love languages, you know, modeling that to them, that mom's standing in the backyard again. It's not weird. It's like how mom connects with God, how she calms her nervous system. Like, it's just really redefining it. And if you want to go get your nails done, great, but that's not true self-care.
Yeah. But I love what you said. It's soul care. And it truly
Mm-hmm.
is soul care. Like, what can we do to make sure deep down in our soul we are good? Because
Mm-hmm.
that's when we are going to be able to show up the best for everyone in our lives, including the clients in our business. Because as organizers, we're going in and helping other people that already feel chaos and stress and, all those things. So we're going to feel their energy too. And if we
Mm-hmm.
can't come to that from a place of peace and calm, like, we may end up doing more harm than good in the long run, even with them.
Well, I would venture to guess that as organizers, you're going to be life coaches. I mean, there's a lot of mental things that come with, I mean, I could use so many analogies just for even how I coach, about how you really dig everything out first, like you probably take everything out of the closet. Our stuff is so tied with our emotions and different things that you guys are really going to have to take care of yourselves mentally and emotionally, because you're going to probably be guiding a lot of people through a lot of different emotions as you do that. And so you really do need to be filled up first.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and actually that's when I first started my organizing business. One of the very first things I did was I went and got certified as a life coach, because I immediately realized this is so connected that I need more tools in my tool belt to be able to learn how to like hold the space for them, have a conversation with them, help them through their grief or through their stuff that they're going, without bringing my own stuff in. And so,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm absolutely like, that's why I've started with the podcast. First, it was about growing your business, and it still is, but now we're moving more into like the mindset stuff. And eventually I want to help people go into more of like, how do we become not just organizers, but life coaching organizers, because that is when you truly can help people.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, and I don't know where you got your certification from, but I mean, my certification, I don't even use what they really taught me. I don't know about you. We'll talk after about if you like where you got your certification from, but you're going to life coach, or you're going to be able to walk a road that you've already walked. And so that's the beauty of coaching and just being vulnerable with your clients, is that you've been there and you've walked that road. And so that's all we do as coaches, is we just guide, even if someone's only like a couple steps behind us, or not behind, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, on their journey. And holding the space and learning to ask powerful questions. That has been my biggest thing, is learning how to just hold my tongue, hold the space, and just let them be able to feel seen and heard. Because a lot of my clients, they've not felt seen or heard in their lives in a very long time. And so sometimes it's more important to do that than it is to even declutter the whatever we're decluttering. Like the decluttering part's great, but then the emotional aspect like puts it over the top to where they become your number one biggest fans. They call you for everything, and they tell all their friends about you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for being on here and for talking about soul care, which is what I'm going to start calling it instead of self-care, because I love that. And then tell everyone where they can find you on all of your different little, income streams that you do.
Well, absolutely. Jump over to my podcast. Obviously, you're a podcast listener if you're listening. So it's easiest to type in KARI, KARI Davis, because there are other The Well podcasts. Or you can put in The Well Health and Wholeness. But that name is it's just really important to me. I tell the story in the intro that when the woman at the well in the Bible came to the well, she thought she was just going to get water. But when Jesus was there and he restored her heart, she had living water to be a completely changed person. And so that's what I hope the Well podcast is just a place that's like a cold water on a hot day, where you're just like, yes, just, we talk about natural health. We talk about so many different things, calming the chaos in your mind, but it is that soul care. And thank you for loving it. I love it too. But also follow me on Instagram. I'm not on there tons, but I like jumping on and seeing people's faces. So it's Kari Davis _ the well. And go to thewellteam.com. You can request an essential oil sample. You can listen to a class on natural living. You can be linked to the podcast there. And we have the blog, and it's just a wellness collaborative. A bunch of my team members from doTERRA, but also in the coaching space, we all kind of pour our hearts on there.
Love it. And tell me that website one more time.
Thewellteam.com.
Thewellteam.com. Perfect. And we will definitely make sure to put all of the links in the description and the show notes below. And thank you so much for being on the podcast. And again, like she said, go listen to The Well and give her some reviews and stuff, because as podcast listeners, podcast people, we love getting reviews and hearing what you all think. And just like in our businesses, when we're starting our businesses, our Google reviews matter so much. For us as podcasters, our reviews on like Apple and Spotify, they help us tremendously. So if you've not gone and given me a review, go do that too.
I was going to say, I always forget to ask for reviews.
Yeah, me too.
That's great.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you again so much. And then for you listening, we will definitely catch you in the next one.